Is it time to contain Russia? And if so, what does that look like? Or can we focus on areas where U.S. and Russian interests converge in the hopes of strengthening cooperation?
Putin's authoritarian, kleptocratic regime shares no values with us and increasingly shares fewer and fewer interests. Instead, Putin and his circle portray the West, NATO, the EU, certainly the United States, as threats to Russia and to his grip on power.
If we are focused on containing and combating the regime, are we provoking a response from Russia that is fundamentally a defensive crouch that says we're going to do absolutely everything and anything that we can to undermine you and your rules and the promises that we have made you and your interests? Because we understand at the end of the day, what you're after, whether you admit it or not, is regime change.
Is Russia a threat to the United States? What kind of threat? And if so, is it the greatest threat?
The greatest threat to democracy today exists inside the United States. And we're using Russian interference, and it's a serious issue, to deflect attention from the things that we need to do.
I don't buy the argument that just because Russia is a declining power, especially relative to China, that it's less dangerous. In fact, the only country that is currently threatening the United States, threatening our democracy and our way of life, is Russia.
Make a closing argument, looking forward to policy recommendations for the administration.
I think we need to define our interests with real clarity for ourselves, but also so that the Russians understand them. And then we need to communicate clearly the consequences and the deterrent methods that we're going to apply in case Russia does things that really threatens us.
A solution to the various issues in Ukraine at this point comes from an agreement with the Russians, with the Ukrainians, with the Europeans, and with the United States.
What we need to do here is defend the international order. We need to defend the Westphalian state system, that is to say, sovereignty for the existing states. And in the case of the U.S. and West, it means defending our democracy.
We need a tougher approach in dealing with Putin's Russia that includes ramping up sanctions, not weakening them, bolstering Russia's neighbors and making them successful, standing up to Russia's human rights abuses, investigating Russian corruption, and cleaning up our own act while protecting our own systems from Russian interference.